You know what's quietly stealing your peace. It's not your workload, it's not the economy, and it's not even your past. It's the people around you. Some of them smile in your face but chip away at you when you're not looking. They don't come with open attacks, they come with quiet words, subtle habits, and energy that slowly erodes your confidence, your clarity, and your self-worth. The ancient philosopher Epicurus once said, "Associate with those who help you become your best self." That's not just pretty advice to hang on your wall, it's a survival strategy. Because the truth is, in a world full of emotional drainers, hidden manipulators, and silent saboteurs, the wrong company will cost you more than you realize. Think about it, your mind, your time, your emotional energy, those are your most valuable assets. But if you're constantly giving access to people who thrive on chaos, who pull you down when you're trying to rise, who plant seeds of doubt when you're trying to build strength, how far can you really go? That's what we're diving into today. We're going to uncover 11 types of people who can quietly destroy your self-worth, hijack your peace, and make you question your own power, without you even realizing it. More importantly, I'm going to show you how to step back from them, not with anger, but with emotional intelligence, self-mastery, and unshakable boundaries. Because here's the truth. Not everyone deserves access to your life, and once you understand exactly who's been draining your spirit, you'll know how to walk forward, sharper, stronger, and untouchable. Type 1. The complainer. We all know someone like this. They don't yell. They don't throw tantrums. But every time you talk to them, it feels like they're slowly pouring acid into your mind. They complain about their job, their partner, the weather, the government, society, everything except themselves. And here's the kicker. They don't actually want solutions. They want sympathy. They want you to sit in their storm with them and agree that the world is unfair. At first, you might think, well, we all vent sometimes. It's normal, and yes, we do. But there's a difference between occasional venting and weaponized complaining. The chronic complainer builds their entire worldview around bitterness, helplessness, and blame. And if you're not careful, you start seeing life through their lens. Suddenly, your job feels smaller, your relationships seem flawed, and your peace, the one thing you've worked so hard for, starts to crack. The Stoics saw this clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." Not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. A Stoic doesn't expect perfect people, but they refuse to be corrupted by other people's imperfections. Chronic complaining is a sign of an untrained mind, a weak mind, one that hasn't learned the most important lesson in Stoicism. Separate what you can control from what you cannot. The complainer does the opposite. They pour all their energy into what's out of their control. And then they invite you to do the same. And here's why they're dangerous. Emotional infection spreads silently. They plant doubt in your confidence. They amplify tiny annoyances into big life problems. They make you feel guilty for having peace when they don't, without ever raising their voice. They drain you. So, how do you deal with them? The Stoic way. Step 1. Strategic silence. You don't have to argue. You don't have to fix them. The next time someone complains for the third time about the same problem, simply ask, "That sounds frustrating. What are you planning to do about it?" If they stumble or change the subject, you've just exposed the truth. They don't want solutions. They want attention. Step 2. Protect your energy like it's wealth. Your inner peace is a form of currency. Every time you spend it on someone's negativity, you're making an investment, and this one has no return. Choose wisely. Step 3. Create emotional distance. If you can't cut ties completely, cut depth. Be kind, but don't let their chaos take root in your soul. You are not obligated to be anyone's unpaid therapist, especially when they're addicted to their own misery. And maybe it's worth asking yourself, who in your life leaves you drained after every conversation? Are you holding space for someone who has no intention of growing? When was the last time your mood shifted, not because of your life, but because of someone else's negativity? Emotional intelligence isn't just knowing how to listen. It's knowing when to leave the room. Chronic complainers don't want change, they want an audience. And if you're not careful, you'll become their next topic of complaint. So protect your peace, protect your mind, protect your path, because the moment you stop feeding the fire, it burns out on its own. Type 2. The excuse maker. You've met them, the person who always has a reason why they haven't started. Why they can't change. Why now just isn't the right time. They're smart. They have opportunities. They might even have the resources. But when it comes to action, they stall. Every single time. On the surface, it can sound reasonable. I would. But now's not the right time. Not everyone's meant to succeed. Some people just get lucky. Discipline. That's just not my personality. But here's the danger. Excuses are far more dangerous than failure. Why? Because failure teaches you something. Excuses teach you nothing. They create a false comfort zone that keeps you exactly where you are, while convincing you that's where you belong. And if you spend too much time around them, their mindset becomes contagious. Suddenly you start questioning your own pace, your own ambition. Maybe I'm pushing too hard. Maybe I should lower the bar. And before you know it, you've traded excellence for average, and you don't even notice. The Stoics warned us about this. Seneca said it's not that we have too little time, it's that we waste so much of it. And one of the most subtle, seductive ways we waste our lives is by becoming experts at justifying inaction. In Stoic philosophy, your true power lies in what you can control, your thoughts, your effort, your discipline, your attitude. But the excuse maker surrenders all of that to chance, circumstance, or other people. Then they call it being realistic. So, how do you handle them without getting dragged into their comfort zone? Step 1. Lead by example. Not argument. A Stoic doesn't waste energy debating with someone stuck in their own limits. They demonstrate what's possible through consistent action. Let your habits speak so loudly that no one can deny the results. Step 2. Watch your own language. Excuse makers can slip into your vocabulary without you noticing. Phrases like, I'll try, I'll get to it when I can, or, it's not the right moment, feel harmless. But they plant seeds of procrastination. Replace them with, I will. This matters. Let's go. Small shifts in language create big shifts in mindset. Step 3. Guard your time and energy. You don't have to cut every excuse maker out of your life. But you do need boundaries. If someone constantly justifies their own stagnation, and it's bleeding into your focus, it's time to step back. Ask yourself, who in your life always has a reason not to take action? Have their words ever made you doubt your own drive or your decisions based on your values, or on someone else's fear? The Stoic truth is simple. Life will never be perfect. But your effort can be. Excuse makers will try to convince you to slow down until the time is right. But you know better. There is no perfect time. There is only now, and what you choose to do with it. So keep moving, keep building, and if you must walk alone to protect your momentum, walk with pride. Because the world doesn't need more reasons why it can't be done. It needs proof that it can. Type 3. The gossiper. You know the type. They always seem to know everything. Who's dating who? Who messed up at work? Who said what behind closed doors? They wrap it in charm, sprinkle it with secrets, and make it sound like they're just keeping you in the loop. At first, it might feel entertaining, even a little bonding. But there's a hidden cost. Gossip is the currency of the emotionally weak. And when you trade in that currency long enough, it changes you. Here's the truth. Gossip isn't harmless chatter. It's a way of thinking. It trains your mind to look outward instead of inward, to focus on other people's mistakes instead of your own growth. And when you're around it long enough, you start to become it. You waste mental energy on rumors instead of results. You question people based on hearsay instead of facts. The Stoics warned us about this centuries ago. They believed a life of virtue begins with focusing only on what you can control. Gossip is the exact opposite. It thrives on what's none of your business. And here's the part no one likes to admit. People who gossip to you will gossip about you. You're not the exception, you're just temporarily useful. Gossipers build false intimacy through shared judgment, bonding over tearing someone else down. Every minute you spend in those conversations is a minute you're not building your own self-worth, your own discipline, your own character. So, how do you deal with gossipers, the Stoic way? Step 1. Don't engage. Walk away with elegance. You don't need to scold or shame. If someone starts gossiping, you can simply say, I don't really know them well enough to say. Or, let's talk about something that actually helps us grow. Then move on. Silence here isn't weakness, it's a power move. Step 2. Recenter on what you control. You can't stop people from talking, but you can stop your mind from absorbing the noise. Every time you focus on someone else's flaws, you delay your own development. That's a cost you can't afford. Step 3. Audit your environment. Ask yourself, who in my circle thrives on the downfall of others? Who talks more about people than about ideas, goals, or solutions? If those names keep popping up, you need to limit their access to your mind. Because here's the Stoic truth: strong minds discuss ideas, weak minds discuss people. And if you're serious about protecting your peace, you can't make space for weakness, no matter how charming it looks on the surface. So the next time someone leans in with that, "You won't believe what I heard" tone, remember, you have a mission. You have a mind to protect. Your peace isn't worth trading for a piece of someone else's business. Type 4. The envious. You've probably met them, the ones who don't clap when you win, the ones who go silent when you share good news, the ones who smile at you, but deep down hope you fail. Envy doesn't always come in the form of insults or open hostility. More often, it shows up quietly, in backhanded compliments, fake enthusiasm, or subtle questions like, "Don't you think you're doing too much?" Here's why it's dangerous. The envious don't attack your weaknesses, they attack your strengths. Your growth reminds them of everything they've chosen not to pursue. And instead of rising with you, they try to pull you back down to where they feel safe. The Stoics saw envy as irrational because it shifts your focus from what you can become to what someone else already has. It distracts you from your own effort, discipline, and virtue, and locks your attention on someone else's results. If you're not careful, keeping envious people close will slowly shrink you. You'll start to downplay your wins so you don't make them uncomfortable. You'll hesitate before sharing your progress. You'll even convince yourself that shining too brightly is selfish. But that's not humility, that's self-sabotage. You weren't born to dim your light just to make others feel better about staying in the dark. So, how do you handle envy the Stoic way? Step 1. Detach your emotions from their reaction. If someone resents your success, that's their wound to heal, not your responsibility to fix. You can be kind without carrying their insecurity on your back. Step 2. Protect your peace by protecting your wins. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your victories. It's okay to grow in silence until you find a circle that celebrates you instead of competes with you. Step 3. Transform envy into admiration, in yourself and others. When you see someone else succeed, choose curiosity over comparison. Ask yourself, what can I learn from their journey? And when you succeed, celebrate without guilt. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. Reflection time. Who in your life goes quiet when you share good news? Have you ever dulled your shine to avoid making someone uncomfortable? Are you surrounded by people who cheer for you, or secretly compete with you? Here's the Stoic truth. Your success will test more relationships than your failures ever will. But you can't let someone else's insecurity become the limit on your potential. The right people will never fear your light, they'll rise with it. And the wrong people? Let them stay in the shadows. Type 5. The hot-tempered. We all know someone who turns every disagreement into a battlefield, the one who slams doors, raises their voice, and leaves emotional debris behind wherever they go. They like to think their anger shows strength. But here's the truth. A person ruled by anger isn't powerful, they're predictable. And predictability is weakness. Because if the world can push your buttons at will, then it owns you. Modern culture sometimes glorifies rage, in movies, in music, even in politics, as a sign of passion or power. But the Stoics saw it differently. Seneca called anger a brief madness. And like any madness, if you don't control it, it will control you. The problem is, when you're around hot-tempered people long enough, their volatility starts to feel normal. You find yourself bracing for the next outburst, walking on eggshells, and maybe even snapping back in ways you never used to. You start to confuse reaction with strength, when in reality, reaction is surrender. So how do you deal with them the Stoic way? Step 1. Master yourself before you try to manage them. You can't put out a fire by throwing more fire at it. The Stoic doesn't meet rage with rage. When someone explodes, you don't escalate, you observe, you breathe, you detach. That's not weakness. That's emotional intelligence under pressure. Step 2. Starve the flame. Hot-tempered people feed on your reaction. They want the pushback, the spark, the argument. It gives them an excuse to justify their behavior. Take away that fuel. Respond with clarity, or not at all. Let them burn out in their own fire. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Step 3. Choose peace over proximity. If someone's anger constantly invades your peace, you have a choice. Walk away. Not out of hate, but out of principle. You don't have to fix them. You just have to protect you. Boundaries aren't punishment, they're protection. Ask yourself, who in your life cannot go a single day without losing control? Have you started reacting more sharply just because they made it feel normal? Do you see silence as weakness or as strength? Here's the Stoic truth. Anger may look powerful, but it destroys everything it touches: relationships, opportunities, peace. The calmest person in the room is usually the strongest, because they don't waste energy proving they have power. They conserve it. So if you have someone in your life who burns hot, let them burn alone. You weren't made for constant war. You were made for mastery. Type 6. The drama magnet. Some people don't just live through drama. They create it. They can take the smallest inconvenience and turn it into a full-blown crisis. Every conflict involves multiple people. Every conversation is charged with tension. And somehow, it's always about them. Being close to a drama magnet is exhausting. You end up playing therapist, referee, or damage control, and it never stops. Even worse, their chaos starts to pull you out of alignment with your own values. The Stoics had a simple rule: don't react, respond. Drama magnets break that rule with every breath. They want you to react because your reaction is their fuel. They thrive on pulling people into emotional storms, not because they want resolution, but because drama gives them attention, relevance, and a sense of importance. If you've ever left a conversation with someone feeling drained, overthinking every word, or guilty for setting boundaries, you know the toll it takes. They'll tell you that calm is cold, that silence is betrayal, that focusing on yourself is selfish. But here's the Stoic truth: peace isn't selfish. Peace is sacred. So, how do you deal with them without losing yourself? Step 1. Stop trying to fix them. Drama magnets don't actually want solutions, they want attention. You can care without becoming their full-time rescuer. Their chaos is not your project. Step 2. Practice detached silence. Don't defend. Don't explain. Don't absorb their whirlwind. Let them vent if they must. But you remain the stillness at the center of their storm. As Thomas Carlyle once said, silence is the element in which great things fashion themselves. Step 3. Set and keep psychological boundaries. It's not enough to say, I need space. You have to mean it, enforce it, and live it. Separate your identity from their drama. You can love someone without carrying their emotional baggage. Ask yourself, who turns every moment into a stage for their emotions? Do you leave their presence feeling lighter or heavier? Have you mistaken volatility for depth, or chaos for connection? Here's the hard truth. Drama magnets don't want peace, they want an audience. And if you don't protect yourself, you'll confuse exhaustion for love. The Stoic doesn't avoid every conflict. They simply refuse to enter unnecessary ones. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, stay grounded, stay sovereign, and remember, not every battle deserves your presence, and not every performance deserves your attention. Type 7. The naysayer. Some people don't crush your dreams head on, they do it with a smile and a dose of what they call realistic advice. It sounds like concern. Are you sure that's realistic? What if it doesn't work out? That's a bit risky, don't you think? On the surface, it feels like they're protecting you. But here's the truth. They're not questioning your idea, they're making you question yourself. The danger is subtle. You start second-guessing your vision. You scale back your ambition. You trade courage for caution, not because you believe it's the right choice, but because someone else didn't believe in you. The Stoics warned us about this. They taught that we must filter everything through reason, not fear. Naysayers do the opposite. They disguise fear as logic, pessimism as pragmatism, and insecurity as intelligence. If you let them too close for too long, they'll shape a life you never really wanted. A life that feels safe, but is missing satisfaction, comfortable, but lacking self-worth, secure, but void of courage. So how do you deal with them? The Stoic Way. Step 1. Separate intention from impact. Not every naysayer is malicious. Some genuinely think they're helping. But good intentions don't erase harmful outcomes. If their words make you shrink, stall, or stay silent, they're not protecting you, they're limiting you. Step 2. Filter feedback through facts, not fear before you take their words to heart. Ask yourself, is this based on data or on doubt? Experience or projection? Do they walk the path they're warning me not to take? If the answer is no, dismiss it, quietly but firmly. Step 3. Build an inner wall of conviction. A Stoic doesn't need universal approval, they need inner alignment. When your goals are rooted in truth, courage, and personal values, you don't beg for validation. You act. Let your results speak louder than someone else's caution. Ask yourself, who in your life always plays devil's advocate, but never advocates for your potential? Have you delayed a dream because someone else couldn't see it, or your decisions guided by your values, or by someone else's fear? Here's the Stoic truth. Naysayers don't have to destroy your dreams. They just have to plant enough doubt for you to do it yourself. So the next time someone says, "That's too ambitious," smile and remember, that's exactly what someone who stopped dreaming would say. Then get back to work. Because the people who change the world aren't the ones who played it safe. They're the ones who heard the doubt and did it anyway. Type 8. The Toxic Positivist. We live in a culture obsessed with positivity. Smile more. Think happy thoughts. Good vibes only. Sounds uplifting, right, until it becomes a trap. Not every moment in life is meant to feel good. Not every truth should be sugar-coated. Some storms aren't meant to be avoided, they're meant to be faced. But the toxic positivist doesn't believe that. They cover every wound with glitter. They call pain low vibration. They treat emotional honesty as weakness. And without realizing it, they blind you with sunshine. Here's the danger. At first, they seem like the kind of person you want to be around. Always cheerful, always optimistic, always telling you to look on the bright side. But when life gets hard, and it will, their go-to advice is, just stay positive. Don't think about it. It could be worse. What they're really saying is, I don't want to deal with your reality. They'd rather avoid pain than face it. They'd rather deny the storm than prepare for it. The Stoics had no patience for this kind of denial. Stoicism isn't about pretending life is always good, it's about being ready for when it's not. Marcus Aurelius didn't say, ignore hardship. He said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. And that means acknowledging the storm without letting it control your inner weather. The damage of toxic positivity is real. When you're around it long enough, you stop expressing your real emotions. You bury your pain instead of processing it. You start to think sadness is failure. And buried suffering doesn't disappear, it festers. It turns into anxiety, resentment, and isolation. So how do you deal with it? The Stoic Way. Step 1. Replace blind positivity with rational optimism. Being prepared isn't being negative. A Stoic asks, what's within my control? What can I learn? What can I endure? You don't need blind faith. You need clear vision and grounded action. Step 2. Create space for emotional honesty. It's okay to say, this hurts. This is hard. I don't have it figured out. That's not weakness. That's emotional intelligence. If someone can't handle your honesty, that's about their discomfort, not your worth. Step 3. Know the difference between denial and wisdom. If someone constantly tells you to avoid negative thoughts, ask yourself, are they helping me grow, or keeping me comfortable in delusion? Pain is real. Stoicism doesn't hide from it, it trains through it. Reflection time. Do you feel safe expressing pain in your circle? Or do you feel pressured to always be okay? Have you silenced your struggles to make someone else comfortable? Are you surrounding yourself with people who validate your growth or deny your reality? Here's the Stoic truth. Toxic positivity doesn't heal, it hides. And anything you hide from will eventually control you. So the next time someone says, just think positive, try this instead. I'll think clearly. I'll act wisely. I'll feel deeply, and I'll rise anyway. That's not low vibration. That's real inner power. Type 9. The victim. We've all been hurt, betrayed, overlooked, undervalued. Pain is part of life. But staying stuck in it, that's a choice. The victim doesn't just experience pain, They wear it like a uniform. Their wounds become their identity. Their trauma becomes their introduction. Their helplessness becomes their comfort zone. And here's the danger. If you keep them close for too long, they'll slowly pull you into their world. A world where nothing is ever their fault, and everything is someone else's responsibility. There's a difference between being a victim and living like one. We all face injustice, but the Stoic refuses to let it define them. The victim, however, replays the same story again and again. They point to the past as proof that they can't grow. And if you absorb it long enough, you start to believe maybe healing isn't possible. Maybe you should lower your expectations. Maybe you're broken too. That's how the infection of victimhood spreads, not physically, but philosophically. It attacks your sense of agency and convinces you that suffering is a life sentence. The Stoics knew better. Epictetus lost his freedom, his status, even the use of his body, but he never surrendered his mind. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Stoicism doesn't deny pain, it just refuses to be defined by it. So how do you deal with victims, the Stoic way? Step 1. Empathize. But don't enable. You can care without carrying. You can acknowledge someone's pain without validating their stagnation. Try saying, "I hear your pain, but I also see your power. What do you want to do about it?" Step 2. Separate emotion from identity. It is okay to feel lost. It's not okay to build your home there. If someone defines themselves only by what hurt them, that's a warning sign. Step 3. Encourage ownership. Not outsourcing. Real healing starts where blame ends. Ask, what's in your control now? How can you respond differently this time? Who do you want to become? Ask yourself, do you feel like you're constantly managing someone else's pain while ignoring your own? Have you held back your joy because someone always makes it about their struggle? Are you letting their story become your script? Here's the Stoic truth. Victimhood is not a personality. It's a phase you're meant to outgrow. If you stay in their orbit too long, you'll forget that you're allowed to rise. So don't sink to prove your empathy. Rise, and let that be the invitation. Because you are not defined by what broke you. You are defined by how you rebuild. Type 10. The manipulator. Manipulation is dangerous not because it's loud, but because it's quiet. A manipulator doesn't shout. They don't storm in with demands. Instead, they slowly chip away at your confidence until you can't tell if you're making your own choices, or just following theirs. They twist your words. They blur your reality. They plant subtle doubts in your mind, so subtle that you start wondering, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe I am the problem. That's how they gain control, not through force, but through confusion. And the more emotionally intelligent you are, the more dangerous it gets. Why? Because they know you'll listen. They know you'll care. They know you'll hesitate before walking away. Over time, you find yourself over-explaining simple decisions, over-justifying your boundaries, over-apologizing for things you didn't even do wrong. And in the process, you start undervaluing yourself. The Stoics had an antidote for this: mental sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." A manipulator's goal is to make you question those thoughts, to insert their voice where your inner compass should be. The Stoic refuses to give that power away. So, how do you protect yourself, the Stoic way? Step 1. Reclaim your internal authority. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. If someone makes you feel guilty for honoring your boundaries, that's not love, that's leverage. Step 2. Watch patterns, not promises. Manipulators are skilled with words. They'll say the right thing, but keep repeating the same behavior. Don't be blinded by apologies or flattery. Track their actions over time. That's where the truth is. Step 3. Set boundaries without emotional leakage. You don't have to get angry. You don't have to prove your case. You just act. Walk away. Limit access. Speak your decision clearly and let your absence reinforce it. That's strategic detachment, one of the most powerful Stoic tools for self-protection. Ask yourself, do you feel lighter or heavier after being around them? Are you doing things out of alignment just to keep the peace? Have you started shrinking your voice to protect their comfort? Here's the Stoic truth. A manipulator doesn't actually take your power. They convince you to give it away. But the moment you master your own mind, you become unmanipulable. And that is real freedom. Type 11. The overindulgent. Some people will never openly attack your goals, they won't criticize your ambition, instead, they'll quietly invite you to slow down. Loosen up, and live a little. It sounds harmless. Come on. Don't be so serious. Life's too short, treat yourself. You can't be disciplined all the time. But here's the trap. The overindulgent makes mediocrity feel like a lifestyle and weakness sound like freedom. They promote pleasure over purpose, escape over endurance, instant gratification over growth, and they'll call it self-love. At first, it feels good, comfortable, fun, but comfort has a cost. You delay your goals because there's always tomorrow. You avoid challenges because they feel too heavy right now. You stop demanding excellence from yourself because no one around you does. The Stoics weren't anti-pleasure, but they knew that pleasure without principle leads to slavery. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. But you cannot be free if you are a slave to your passions." Overindulgence isn't freedom, it's dependence with better branding. And here's the danger. The overindulgent rarely destroys your life in one big blow. They just lower your standards little by little, until you don't even notice you've stopped growing. So how do you handle them? The Stoic way. Step 1. Out-discipline them without debate. You don't have to lecture anyone about self-control. Just live it. Let your habits, your clarity, and your results speak for themselves. Step 2. Reframe discipline as liberation to the undisciplined. Structure looks like a prison. To the Stoic, it's the path to freedom. Discipline isn't punishment, it's the ultimate form of self-respect. Step 3. Protect your inner environment. If you're surrounded by people who ridicule structure, belittle growth, or avoid challenge, change the room. You don't have to be a monk, but you do have to guard your momentum like your life depends on it. Ask yourself, have you ever excused self-sabotage by calling it self-care? Who in your life encourages comfort over commitment? Are you living with intention, or just reacting to pleasure? Here's the Stoic truth. True freedom isn't doing whatever you feel like. It's having the strength to do what serves your highest self, even when you don't feel like it. So the next time someone says, "Relax, you deserve a break," remember, you can rest without abandoning your mission. You can enjoy life without losing your edge. And you can choose growth over comfort every single time. Action and Stoic message. The people who sabotage your life aren't always the obvious enemies. Sometimes, they're the ones who call themselves friends. They smile, they check in, they say they care, but their patterns tell a different story. You don't need to write them a long letter. You don't need to give a speech. And you definitely don't need to justify your boundaries to someone who's been crossing them all along. What you need is action. Clear, quiet, unapologetic action. Because the moment you let go of those who drain you, you create space for what truly matters: wisdom, self-respect, peace, and a high-performance mindset that no longer bends for low standards. This is the Stoic way. You don't rise because everyone approves of you. You rise because you refuse to be moved from your path. You stand firm in your values. You protect your mind like it's your most valuable possession, because it is. And here's the truth most people won't tell you. Letting go doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. Walking away doesn't make you heartless. It makes you free. So, from this moment forward, remember this. You don't need to explain your boundaries to people who are committed to breaking them. You don't need to convince anyone why you protect your peace. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them misunderstand you. Your silence will say more than any goodbye ever could. Walk in silence, stand in truth, and rise like no one saw it coming.